And like I promised in my Toho Marathon video, I would do a live reaction and reading of the story of Taboo Japan Disentanglement. That's an interesting name. A tongue twister. But, like I said, I have not read this story, I have not listened to the soundtracks, even though I should have. I'm reading this and I'm probably trying to cut this video into a more manageable size, but I will be reading this through, giving my thoughts as I go, and yeah, we'll see what Zun has been cooking and if the taste is palpable. But we'll start with, okay, on the 7th day of 7th month, stand not before it at the 10th hour. A mysterious story concerning a forgotten taboo and an entanglement in another world. The 10th edition of disturbing and beautiful music played by the Shanghai Alice Illusionary Band. Okay, so that's just the introduction to the album, and we'll start with Dawn Breaks on Tanabata Saga. Okay, Tanabata Saga at 10 a.m. Okay, 4 hours left till 10 a.m. Maribel Hearn, Mary, tried to calm her racing mind. She wasn't used to traveling on her own, yet here she was camping out on her lonesome. Okay, first, Mary is finally out from the hospital. I think... No, was she in? No, I think... The old Adam Bar. Yeah, old Adam Bar. She wasn't in the hospital back then. The old Adam Bar was when she created those gaps in the mirror to show to people. Yeah. They used those mirrors to show things, and they... I think it had something to do with the books they were still writing. I cannot remember the exact details, but I think that was the gist of it. She had always left planning for trips up to her dear friend, and this was the first time she had made all the arrangements herself. That was why she had found herself experiencing a complete equipment deficiency. She had even forgotten that for camping outdoors, one needs to bring such things as tents. Okay. Interesting that this is a narrator talking. Usually when Zun writes these things, it's coming straight from the mouths of the characters. Actually, looking back, the last time Zun properly used a narrator in a CD story was in the original. In the original Dolls in Pseudo Paradise. Interesting. She wasn't able to sleep comfortably at night, but that was a trifling matter for her, since her days and nights had naturally been reversed. Her days and nights had naturally been reversed. Okay. So active on tonight and not on today. Kinda like Yukai, wink wink. And on a road without a sign of life in Hitachi, okay, magic wand, staying up late to watch the stars was ideal, except that she couldn't shake off her fatigue. Today, July 7th, was not just the festival called Tanabata. According to Mary's research of the area. So, actually, let me pause here and do some digging. Okay, so finally I found what I was looking for about Tanabata. Tanabata. Okay, so it is a festival for meeting of Orihime and Hikoboshi, celebrating their meeting, and they can only meet. They are separated by the gods and can meet only once a year. So like that's a thing. And during Tanabata festival, okay, I'm now reading exactly as Kaleapulonhenki wrote it here. Tanabata Hill is a hill in Kuji district, Yamada village in Hitachi. And the morning of the 7th of July, you mustn't pass it. If you do, something extraordinary will happen. It is said that procession of the Matsuri of Kanasa Shrine are silent when passing this place. So it is the Tanabata festival, and yeah, I'm not really expert when it comes to this, but yeah. Okay, nothing to add to this. Tanabata is just a festival for the meeting of the two people separated by gods, and there is that hill. But yeah, and Maribel is apparently going there. Yeah, and you shouldn't do that, but yeah, but it's the secret sailing club, so of course she is going to do that. See what happens. And then Tinkerbell of Inequality. That is the next song. 1 month before her solitary journey, Mary was making preparation for her trip. It seemed as if Renko Usami had built up so much confidence in her own theory that she had shut herself in her room to prepare a manuscript for presentation at a conference. Okay, so Renko is doing something of her own, and Maribel is the one focusing on this trip. She hadn't even met up with her closest friend Mary for some time. So this is the latest version of Renko's article. The thick manila envelope she had been sent by Renko contained nothing but heavy stack of papers. Nowadays things like handwritten manuscripts might be taking anachronism too far. Oh yeah. But it seemed that nevertheless that was the method of preparation that she had chosen. So of course we have to remember, Renko and Maribel are in the future. Renko is still choosing to use paper documentation. Probability theories collapse and the other world. Probability theories collapse and the other world. The Copenhagen interpretations revival and the world of dreams. As expected, it's something like a reactionary screed on classical quantum mechanics, I see. Interesting. As expected, it's something like a reactionary screed. What is screed? And this is like, I think, Maribel talking. Mary was dreadfully bored. Lately the Hifuu Club's activity had completely petered out. Okay. So Renko is kind of doing a paper on something Okay, let's continue. I'm not gonna stick to that too long. I came to realization after reading that manuscript. I understand Renko Usami's attempt at interpretation. Renko Usami's attempt at interpretation is an application of classical quantum theory. While it seems ludicrous at first glance, it isn't something beyond the bounds of human imagination. So is Renko trying to rationalize what is happening with Maribel and her abilities through quantum theory? And she's writing a paper on that about her rationalizing Maribel's ability. Okay. They are visible to me, the doors that separate the world and the other worlds. Interesting. No matter how much Renko, who cannot see, attempts to interpret this phenomenon through the lens of quantum mechanics. Okay, so she is doing exactly that, trying to rationalize what she does not understand and which Maribel understands better than she does. So that interpretation would be outrageous nonsense, no more than a conspiracy theory. So, a question: is Maribel talking from her own point of view, or from the perceived point of view of others? Do others take this as outrageous nonsense, or does she take this as outrageous nonsense? Because, of course, Maribel does have these abilities regarding borders and gaps and whatnot. They are real in this story, and Maribel can see and apparently somewhat understand them, but Renko does not. Renko does not see them, and she is like the brains of the operation. Maribel is like the spiritual person here, and Renko is the brains person. So Renko is doing a paper trying to rationalize these things that Maribel is doing and saying, and yeah, Renko does have the proof that this is real. They did visit the Torifune satellite, and Renko has seen Maribel use her abilities, but Renko does not understand how this works, because Renko is a scientific person. She tries to rationalize what she is seeing and trying to make these theories, and apparently at the moment her theories are based on quantum mechanics, and she is trying to rationalize Maribel's abilities through quantum mechanics, and she is writing this theory. So I want to know, is Maribel saying that it's outrageous nonsense, or are other people saying that it is outrageous nonsense? Because if it is Maribel, then that would confirm that there is nothing scientific about Toho's magic. Like, Toho's magic system would be completely devoid of any scientific basis. But if it is other people saying that it is outrageous nonsense, that would leave the possibility of Toho's magic actually being based on loosely. I'm not saying I'm using this really loosely here, but based on really loosely on science. That would leave the option open, because if Maribel herself is not outright denying it, then it leaves that option open. It's interesting. The world on the other side of that forbidden door is something that must go beyond human imagination. Hold on, where was the... While I understand Renko Usami's attempt at interpretation is an application of classical quantum theory, while it seems ludicrous at first, it isn't something beyond the bounds of human imagination. Okay, so this is Maribel speaking. She understands that her friend is trying to rationalize it, and she understands that the way she is looking at it is not unheard of. And that would... Okay, so it apparently is Maribel who thinks it is outrageous nonsense, no more than a conspiracy theory, because then she says here, the world on the other side of that forbidden door is something that must go beyond human imagination. So Renko is doing something that comes naturally to her, something she can rationalize and imagine, while to Maribel, what she sees on the other side of those borders and gaps is something that just cannot be rationalized. It is devoid of any laws of their world. So that says, in Maribel's opinion, and I think that is a really strong indication that Toho's magic has nothing to do with any scientific theories, and it is purely magic. There is no cosmic force or quantum entanglement or something causing the Toho characters to be able to wield this magic. It is pure magic, and I think that is the confirmation here. And it also creates an interesting divide between Maribel and Renko. They are friends, and they are both interested in this same topic. But whereas Maribel can directly interact and see and experience this topic they are both interested in, Renko cannot, and there is a difference in understanding here where Renko tries to rationalize it and make sense of it, Maribel sees that there is no making sense of this thing. It needs to be accepted as is, and a human cannot rationalize what is happening here. I think that is what is going on. That is to say, it is a thing that truly exists. Like I said, I intend to prove the truth of its existence. So yeah, Renko is trying to create a theory rationalizing Maribel's ability, and Maribel is saying, yeah, you cannot do that. That it is impossible for you. However, it like she says, it's still a thing, and it exists, and she is trying to find a way to prove that it exists. They both know that it exists, but the wider world does not, and only Maribel really knows how it exists. Okay, and now we are smoking dragon. Going back to the present, a light rain had begun to fall on Tanabata-saga. It seemed like the rainy season hadn't given up, but Mary's body was slightly shivering. Also, one curious note, this bit was from Maribel's... okay, so these two notes were from Maribel's POV, and she was the narrator there, and now we're returning to the outside narrator, or third-person narrator, let's say. A light rain had begun. It seemed, 30 minutes left. At 10 a.m. the door here that leads to the other world will be undoubtedly open. I'll show her the proof of other worlds' true existence. Oh yeah. Wait, hold on. Going back. Did Renko ever visit Gensokyo or other worlds through Maribel's ability? Because I know they did visit the Torifune satellite, but I don't think it was never explicitly said that Maribel had taken Renko to had managed to take Renko to Gensokyo. Like, she has brought proof that she had gone there, items and such, but Renko has never herself been there, and Maribel has not found a way to take her with her yet. I think that is what is going on. It was the first time that she had carried an outworld investigation independently, since Renko had always been the one who found new data for them. In the unexpectedly cold July weather on Tanabata-saga, Mary began to grow a bit disheartened. She felt as if she could see her breath, even though it couldn't be. 5 minutes left. A thick mist began to shroud the area with a density closer to that of smoke than fog. This was the longed for unnatural phenomenon. The door was coming into view. Okay, and we are talking a lot about doors, which is Okina's specialty. She has the ability to create back doors, or doors to the backs of anything, I think. And I think this is more connected to Okina than Yukari here. I'm not, because well, we are of course assuming here that, or most of us are assuming that Maribel and Yukari are at least connected, or maybe even the same person. I think they're the same person. So Maribel has the ability to see and detect the gaps and borders of the world, but here she is specifically talking about doors. So I don't think this is really about their shared ability between Maribel and Yukari, the borders and gaps. This is about Okina here, because door. The instant she thought that, Mary lost her field of vision. Okay, interesting. And Mugen no Taboo marionette. On this hill on 7th day of 7th month, stand not before it at the 10th hour. If you cross before it, something mysterious will surely occur. Tanabata Saga's taboo was forgotten long ago. So yeah, in future the spirituality and all these have lost most of their meaning and such and have been forgotten. But Maribel and Renko still know. They have done their research. Well, they have been forgotten from the public consciousness. Let's say it that way. Not everyone has forgotten about them, and I think in Old Adam Bar they did say that there have been resurgence of interest in old folk tales. So yeah. Well, there's nothing that can be done about it, is there? Humans forgot the ways to communicate with other worlds. Well, it repeats. Well, there's nothing that can be done about it, is there? As taboos were forgotten and phantasms shrunk away, death itself passed into fantasy. This girl too thinks that her own world is on the side of reality, doesn't she? Has she convinced herself that she is an immortal human, I wonder? There's no way that could be true, right? Right. Okay, this is really interesting. Who is the one talking here? Because this human, this girl, where did it say that? This girl. This is probably, I'm not saying for sure, but I'm guessing this is about Maribel. Someone is talking about Maribel here. Someone is talking about Maribel here, and yeah, Tanabata Saga's taboo was forgotten long ago. Humans forgot the ways to communicate with other worlds. So, there are two possibilities to which this may be a reference to. Either it is the really, really old world where yokai and humans still live together, but I don't think that is, because with other worlds. I think this is a reference to our current world, where there are still religions and people believing in supernatural in some religious way, like with Buddhism, Shintoism, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, all this. The religions still exist, and there are people still believing, truly, actually believing in their own religions. But if this is a reference to our world, our current time, it suggests that in Maribel's and Renko's time, people there are pretty much no longer religions. Like, humans forgot the ways to communicate with other worlds, and that communicating with other worlds are religions and belief, faith. I think that is what is going on. Well, there's nothing that can be done about it, is there? And then, as taboos were forgotten and phantasm shrunk away, death itself passed into fantasy. Now, I actually do wonder what this means. Death itself passed into fantasy. I'm going to take this. I know this is not how one should do it, but I'm going to take this here and drop it into Google Translate if it gives any other translation. Okay, this is the direct translation from Japanese to English from Google Translate, so don't take this as the correct translation, but it says death becomes an illusion. So I really do wonder what this means, because as taboos were forgotten and phantasms shrunk away, death itself passed into fantasy. Because rationally thinking, usually in religions, there is an afterlife, and that can be like interpreted in a way that says that a human soul or something is immortal in itself. Corporeal human body is mortal, but the soul is immortal, and it goes into heaven or hell, and that could be something. But death itself passes into fantasy. If a religion is forgotten, then that should be reversed, that death becomes reality, that nothing is immortal, no human soul is not immortal, death is the end. But if death passes into fantasy, is this saying something about like humans living forever? Like I don't think that is the case. In Maribel's and Renko's current time, there is nothing to indicate that medicine would have progressed to the point that people are actually immortal. Unless this is the first time we're saying that in Maribel's and Renko's time there is so advanced medicine that people are basically immortal. This could be that, but I don't think that is. Or it could be, but I don't know if it is. This girl too thinks that her own world is on the side of reality, doesn't she? Okay, interesting. If this is about Maribel, of course this is about Maribel. So someone is saying that even Maribel's own interpretation of what she is seeing is not right. Okay, going back here, I intend to prove truth of its existence. So yeah, here it says that, well, she cannot prove their existence because they are not actually real. There is, because of course it's the fucking faith thing. Faith in Toho, belief makes things real but not real at the same time. If you believe strong enough in something, it becomes real to an extent, but not really. Yukai in Gensokyo are real, but if no one believes in them, they cease to exist. I think that is what is going on here. Maribel has belief in her own what she is seeing, but that doesn't make it real for Renko. Renko doesn't believe, even though she has experienced it herself. She is too rational. She cannot have belief in that. That is why she cannot see them, and that is why the other people in this world, this future, Maribel and Renko, cannot see them, because they don't have belief, they don't have faith. Maribel does, and that is why Maribel is able to see. And then the interesting bit, has she convinced herself that she is an immortal human, I wonder. Now, I don't think this has anything to do with Hora immortality. This is not about Hora immortality. I do not... I'm a little stumped here as to what this means. I'm gonna translate this directly from Google Translate if it gives us a new perspective. I don't think it will, but I'm going to just translate it still. So the direct translation from Japanese to English in Google Translate, I guess she thought she was immortal. I wonder if this is alluding to Yukai. Because, Hora immortality is a special case. And then there's Lunarian immortality, which is also a special case. But almost every single other type of immortality that humans can achieve is Yukai. like them becoming a yukai. They are no longer people. They become yukai. They become these supernatural beings. So if this could be about that has she convinced herself that she's an immortal human? The thing is, immortal humans cannot exist, because if you are immortal, you are no longer human. You are either Lunarian, you're Hora immortal, which is a thing of its own. Hora immortals are they are neither living nor dead. They are like the opposite of Lunarian immortality. Lunarian immortality is a human embracing purity, which is an escape from the natural cycle of life and death. You no longer are a part of the struggle to survive. That is impurity. And to become pure, you reject that, and then you become pure and unchanging. It is immortality to an extent. You can still be killed, but basically impurity is death and birth, and your struggle to reproduce and prevent and to try to prevent your own death. Your fear of death, that is impurity. And then Hora immortality is the pinnacle of impurity. Your fear of death going so far that you preserve yourself forever. You are in a state you're in a state of not living nor dead. You're in something between. You're purely you're entirely impure creature. So they are two opposites of each other. So technically speaking, Moko is still human to an extent, but she is an Hora immortal, so technically it can be argued that she wouldn't be really a human anymore. But that is going into technicalities. But I think this is about Maribel becoming a yukai. That she's thinking that she can become a human of her own. Let's call it her own world, like it is called here. Like she's believing so hard that she is becoming part of her own world, and because her own world does not technically exist, it exists only because she is so hard believes in it herself, that she herself is becoming a supernatural being, a being of faith, belief, a yukai, so to say, or a god, depending on how you look at it. But I think this might be what is going on. And to top it off, I think it is Okina who is talking here, because it is clearly not a passive narrator. It is clearly not Renko nor Maribel, and it cannot be Yukari, I don't think. I think, and with the door, Crazy Backup Dancers is the next one, and there is a lot of references to doors. I think it is Okina who is talking here, but let's not dwell on that anymore. Let's continue. Mary, are you hiding somewhere? Renko Usami raised a loud voice. It had been 2 weeks since she had last heard from Mary. Renko's manuscript was scattered all over Mary's residence. There were no signs that electricity or water had been used, and it seemed like she had been gone for a while. So 2 weeks had passed. Interesting. I was too busy with my manuscript, so I kinda left you all on your own. I'll apologize, so come on out. Okay, yeah. Renko was kinda preoccupied with it. When it became apparent that she wouldn't be getting a reply, Renko decided to search Mary's residence. Also, interesting point of detail, Maribel has her own house or apartment in Japan, apparently. I think she was... I can't remember. she was a student, I think, originally, but now she lives in Japan apparently. I can't remember the full detail, but yeah. If she had gone missing, there might be some clues. With that in mind, Ringo started ransacking the place without the slightest restraint. Since it was messed from the start, she didn't feel any guilt about it. Right away, Ringo came across an aged book. Okay. Now, Yorimashi between dreams and reality, necrophantasia. Now we're getting to the interesting bit, because yes, this album does have a remix of necrophantasia. So, yeah. Let's see what book is this thing Mary's. It was a complicated book on that one that she wouldn't have expected the rather lazy Mary to read. The troublesome kana orthography made it hard to read, and it seemed like it was particularly old. She carefully... Okay, so this is like probably the way it was written. I'm guessing. I'm not expert in Japanese, so I'm assuming that is what it is, written in old style. She carefully searched for any traces of Mary's handiwork. Furthermore, she discovered some transcripts inconsistent with the place. It looked to be a record of a certain area. So Tanabata-saka, or whatever the hell was, Tanabata. I think it is that. Okay, so there's a note here. A fudo looked to be a record of a certain place. Fudoki, a report generally presented in ancient times to the Emperor of Japan on areas, culture, climate, and geography. The prologue of Perfect Cherry Blossom is partially one of these. I see. So, okay, so it is for that Hitachi. On account of the activity of exposing secrets that the club regularly carried out, finding things that felt out of place was a strong point. Oh yeah, Renko had like almost photographic memory, at least when it came to stars and telling the time. That is her ability. But yeah, apparently she can also point out discrepancies when she finds them. Searching for most of Hifuu Club's new material is my job, while Mary is in charge of on-site investigation. So yeah, like I said, Mary is the spiritual one and Renko is the brains of the operation. That's why finding documents connected to mysteries unknown to me in this house is so unnatural. Okay, so Mary mostly did not bother with the actual research. She was the field operative. But like it was stated, it had been 2 weeks, or actually even more, because it had been apparently 2 weeks. Oh yeah, okay, 2 weeks since she had last heard from Mary. So Maribel had time to do her own research. My feeling of unease is the truth. Physicists are very sensitive to anything that feels out of place because the truth itself is like that. Hitachi Fudoki, is this real? So Hitachi is the place where the hill was located. The tranquil scenery continued as far as the eye could see. Hitachi Province's designation as a natural culture sanctuary made it a place symbolic of condensed state policy. Okay, a rural landscape that gave off a feeling of old Japan spread out around. However, the culture that was being protected was already dead. Yeah, it is like that sometimes. Existing without knowing it, it had died. It was a phantom-like existence. Although it appeared so from the outside, it was by no means truly Japan. The humanity of today living atop the burial grounds of culture might be something like zombies. Interesting. So, is this... Okay, I have to translate this line as well. Okay, so it pretty much the same exact thing. Humanity of today living atop of the burial grounds of culture might be something like zombies. Is this reference back to the thing about death passing into fantasy? I think it may be something like, because zombie is an undead thing that doesn't die. But it still doesn't make much sense, because death becoming part of fantasy, like death itself going into fantasy. So wait. So is it that the world itself, like the earth, the world, the real world, when the religions and all these were forgotten, because now I get it. It's not just Gensokyo that is created and perpetuated by faith and belief. It is also the other realms. Like it is said here, many times in this story, it is talking about other realms in plural, not just the world that Maribel sees, other worlds. And that, of course, would reasonably include heaven and hell, and their different versions, and every single other realm we have seen. If people don't believe in them, they do not exist. And if, when a person dies, their soul cannot go into a place that no longer exists. A world has become a purgatory. No one can get out. The humanity of today living atop the burial grounds of culture might be something like zombies. People cannot die properly. They cannot pass into afterlife. So death has passed into fantasy. Or, yeah, like that. There is no afterlife. A real, proper death has become a fantasy. People are living in purgatory here. I don't know if that means that people are constantly just reincarnating into new bodies constantly without any hope of passing into afterlife. If so, or if people, when they die, their soul just disappears. I think it is the former, because I think reincarnation is an established thing in Toho. So it might be that people are just endlessly reincarnating again and again without any way of out to reach heaven or hell or apotheosis or whatever, the enlightenment. There is no way out. That, I think, it is what it means. There is no faith, so there is no hope. On the cultural heritage train, Hitachi Limited, Renko headed for her destination alone. However, she had no time to look outside. In her hand, she held her manuscript, annotated in Mary's handwriting. What was annotated? Okay, so Mary has left comments on her manuscript. Almost all the comments were questions or criticisms, of course, because Mary believes that she understands her ability. Or, well, we know for a fact that she understands her ability better than Ringo does. But she herself does not understand it fully. Mary wrote all over my manuscript. She has never done something like that before. Renko was bewildered, but at the same time she was a little happy about it. Okay, things are really getting interesting. I'm like I said that I did not have any expectations going into this album, but at the moment I am excited. This is some good shit, and I'm still, and it still stays fact. Hifuu clubs never let down. This has been like really interesting so far. Tanabata is apparently a name for this place that was lost long ago. Following the documents that Mary had collected, this area where Renko was now seemed to be Tanabata in Hitachi province. She was struck with a desire to change her mind, but she did not. Okay, she was struck with a desire to change her mind, so change her own mind or change Maribel's mind. I'm not really sure, but hold on. Okay, yeah, I was just checking back to what part of the story the necrophantasia was related to. Because even if this wasn't really Tanabata, okay, so it was her own mind about this place being Tanabata. And even if the comparison drawn in Mary's investigation was a mistake, in order to investigate the place where Mary disappeared, trusting in Mary's materials was the right choice to make. On the 7th day of the 7th month, stand not before it at the 10th hour. If you cross before it, something mysterious will surely occur. The date agreed with the time that Mary disappeared. Renko let her imagination run. Okay. Mary was dissatisfied with my theory because I have no powers. Mary came to this place to find a door into another world, and then, just as you'd predict, an accident occurred. She was spirited away. So, what we have here is, I think, the first confirmed case of Mary being spirited away in person and not in her dream. It's like she's for the first time she is physically awake, being in another world from her own. I think this is the case, the first confirmed case for that. And here we once again see this. Mary was dissatisfied with my theory because I have no powers. Renko knows that Mary has something going on with her, but Renko cannot Renko automatically starts to rationalize. She cannot believe it is something supernatural. To her, it needs to be rationalized. It needs to be like understood. And Renko knows, Maribel knows that it cannot be understood. It is beyond comprehension. But even she does not understand it herself fully. And to some extent, I think Renko knows this, that she cannot understand truly what Maribel can, because she has no powers, but yeah, she still tries in the way that she can, which is through science. The mountain path was lined with chisel statues turned to faces. Renko's brain was in full operation. She wasn't the kind of reserved human to just sit there lamenting her own powerlessness, okay? Concealed for seasons. Okay, so once again, Okina's theme. I think Okina has something to do with it. Maribel Hearn, how long are you going to keep thinking that discovering other worlds is your privilege alone? Renko roughly knocked over a Jizo statue. She knew that artifacts in this area were cultural property and that disturbing them was strictly prohibited. However, this was the only way she came up with to tear through the true taboo. They'd never know if I restored the Jizo afterwards. Even though she told herself that she couldn't quiet her heart, just like Renko's prediction on the back of the Jizo's body, she could see a single beam of light escaping from a rift, Okina's back door, on the back of a Jizo. Certainly Mary's ability is mysterious, but even so it must interact with physical phenomena. Because the world can't be allowed to be bounded by just that which humanity can observe. The mysteries of quantum world are far too great for that. I think there is something going on between Renko's and Maribel's understanding here. Of course, Toho's magic and magic system and worlds are not quantum, based on quantum theory. Zun has no one from my audience, me included, and Zun himself, no one has the understanding to actually make those claims. But I think what is going on here is that the truth about Maribel's ability lies something in between how Maribel thinks and Renko thinks. Like Renko thinks here, but even certainly Mary's ability is mysterious, but even so it must interact with the physical phenomena. Like here it says, like it needs to be somehow connected to the real world. It is not pure fantasy. It is not like purely disconnected from real world. But at the same time, from Maribel's side, it is not scientific. It is faith-based. It has nothing to do with quantum world. It is based on faith, which is based on real world. I think that is the kind of middle ground that we're going for here. I'm not saying that my interpretation is correct. I'm just saying that we are being led to believe something along those lines, toward some kind of a middle ground. The rift in the Jizo's back told of another world. To that extent, there was no discrepancy in Renko's heretical theory. Heretical theory. That is an interesting choice of words. Because Renko still thinks through science, but she still, to an extent, believes what Maribel is saying. There are other worlds, but Maribel, Renko is approaching it through quantum theory. She had no evidence to speculate on the properties of the other world beyond the rift in the Jizo's back, but without hesitation, she thrust her arm into it. Oh boy! Fisting a Jizo here. Damn! Okay, and now we got into this. This is, once again, I think this is, once again, another narrator. Surely up until just a moment ago, a loud clamor could be heard. The song of birds, the sound of the wind, and the rustling of the leaves and the trees had ceased. She closed her eyes and saw a vast land glittering gold. Across the emptiness, an enormous number of mysterious doors had appeared. Once again, Okina. She saw the form of Maribel Hearn within arm's reach. Yep. This is this moment. That's right, today wasn't summer at all. Hold on. The hidden fifth season had appeared. The completely vanished form of the world had been resurrected. Now the taboo of this land has been torn to shreds. Interesting. I wonder if this is like... Because I think it was said that Okina is the guardian of the... Okina's duty as a sage of Gensokyo is the guardian of the barrier. I think that was her duty. The hidden fifth season had appeared, the completely vanished form of the world had been resurrected. So I think what is happening here, when Renko reaches out into this another world and tries to pull Maribel back, they are together with Maribel. She is releasing something from that world back into their real world. So that world of fantasy, in this sense, is kind of bleeding back out, even if by just tiny bits. Well, I wouldn't say world of belief or fantasy, but the fantasy itself is returning to the real world together with Maribel here. Like, I think that is what is being said. I don't... This could be Okina, but this being Okina is not really important. This could be really anyone. Who is the narrator behind this does not matter. What matters is this bit. Or maybe these two. Because... yeah. Renko is pulling Maribel back into reality. And I think what is going on here is that Maribel herself passed into fantasy here. Like she got spirited away into her own world, and that world does not exist without her faith, and she herself became part of her fantasy, and there was nothing concrete anymore keeping that fantasy real, so it kinda imploded. So Maribel, for a moment, Maribel ceased to exist. I think that is what is going on here. But Renko still had enough faith in Maribel, I think, and what she can do, that Renko was able to interact with the fantastical and kind of pull Maribel back, and together with Maribel, because, well, fantasy and all, together with Maribel she pulled back some of that fantastical with her. I think this is what is going on here. And now going back to the two of them, this manuscript is completely mistaken. The nature of other worlds is to be something that truly exists. Haven't you come to understand that after seeing it with me, Renko? Mary, you're the one who's mistaken. My theory doesn't deny the actual existence of other worlds at all. Huh? But you wrote right here that that's not about other worlds. That's about all fundamental particles not truly existing. Huh? Oh, like my reaction. Exactly. It's saying that this world isn't made of matter in the classical sense. Everything in this world is made up of interference of waves. It's not just other worlds that are. What? To go to the extreme of saying matter doesn't exist. That would mean that we are all some kind of phantoms, wouldn't it? Yeah, us and phantoms can't really be said to be that different, can we? Well, like I said, here again, it's kind of walking that tightrope, fantasy and science intermingling, and this is something that Sun likes to play with, and I really enjoy reading about it. Like, this is makes you scratch your head and think about, like, what? Like, this is Sun's writing at its peak, when it's not about those references to TCG games in his game, or introducing overly hard elements and dynamics into his lore. Like when those get pushed back, we get this like of really soft and ephemeral world that Zun is trying to paint. When nothing really makes sense, but at the same time, it kind of does. Like this is Zun's writing at its peak. Yeah. The other world you came into contact with on Tanabatasaka proves that differentiating us isn't something with a simple answer. Mary had... apologies, my cat is giving his opinions. Mary had returned alive from Tanabatasaka, but she still wouldn't accept Renko's theory. Well, of course, because there is the key ingredient, which is faith, still missing. Renko still doesn't know it, even though she kind of just proved it herself, or at least that is what I personally think is going on. You are, of course, free to disagree. However, after such a satisfying explanation, she had no choice but to nod her head in agreement. Well, Maribel herself does not understand much about science. Neither do I. So it really is hard for her to argue with Renko when Renko herself does not understand even herself what is going on. Neither of them understand the point of view of the other, and neither of them is right. Like, that is the fun part here. But I had no idea that it had been 2 weeks. To me, just after 10 a.m. on the morning I went, the mist cleared, and the other side, there you were. Time itself is nothing but wave function interference. If I hadn't shown up to help Mary, I wonder what would have happened to you. I can't imagine that I wouldn't have somehow woken up and come back after 10 a.m. It's nice to see that you agree with me. Okay. Is this world dream or reality? It cannot be forgotten. Taboos cannot be forgotten. Because in this world there isn't a single place where apparitions cannot be found. I think this is an interesting piece. This could be either talking about people directly, that people in a sense are also apparitions, ghosts, shades, phantoms, whatever you like to call them, that people are pretty much the same. This could be that. Also, that in a sense that an apparition is just a person of faith. A yukai is just a person sustained by faith. Like, that could be, that there is not much differentiating a human from a yukai in that sense. I think that could be it. Or I had a thought. I think it slipped away. Oh yeah, it was that if you have belief, you can create an apparition anywhere and any kind. I think this is alluding to either one of those two. That is my belief. That is my belief. Well, I think that is the case. That is the idea that I got. But yeah, I think that like this was really cool story. Really cool, I think. And yeah, I gave my opinions and thoughts as we went through it. But yeah, I really liked it. It gave like context for Maribel's and Renko's own world, and then about the realities of the other worlds, because like, is this world dream or reality? It is both. What this story is trying to say, I think, is both. That the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Like Toho's one of the main icons of Toho franchise as a whole is a Jingjangor. Like, that is like the perfect illustration of the dilemma we have here. It is the both together. Like, that is the... Therein lies the truth. But yeah, really, really good story. And what I'm going to do after this is listen through the music. I'm not going to do it in this video because, well, copyright and all that, and well, yeah. But there is also still the afterword. Hi, Zun here. It's been a while since I made the last Hifuu Club CD. As music streaming becomes the focus, the pursuit of time efficiency has narrowed down the ways of enjoying music, and I feel like we are seeing fewer music genres as a result. I would go so far as to completely disagree with Zun here. I think that it is a Zun problem here. Zun himself is exposing himself to fewer genres of music. But let's continue. This CD is fully immersive experience. Packed with burning passion, is what I prepare to swim against the tide of time. Truly phantasmagorical and self-righteous philosophy. Well, a little, yeah, I agree. But yeah, releasing CDs in this day and age is kinda unheard of, so Zun isn't wrong there. Recently I saw the news that Ibaraki Prefecture's Hitachi brand campaign has met its greatest obstacle. More and more people are failing to read Hitachi correctly in its kanji form. Oh yeah, going back to Renko having hard time reading the book. Well, it's to be expected, as those kanji are ateji, kanji used as phonemes, and they belong to the category where you can't possibly know how to read them without knowing them in the first place. Well, obviously. I hope they don't give up and resign themselves to Hiragana brand name. Team Shanghai Alice, Zun goes, they do, they exist. I think with that note, I think we're good to end with that note. It was really good. It was really a fun time to actually dive back into Toho lore and actually experience this story for the first time on the video live. Well, not live for you, but live for me. And I think this was really, really fun time. But regardless, good to be back on Lore Topics. My name is Toho, and we'll see you in the next video.